What the hell did we all just watch? Let's dig in and talk about the Harris Walz interview on CNN. Hello, everybody. This is Tom with Tom's Talk Show. We just watched something that was I don't even know what it was. It was very. I mean, the questions seemed very hard hitting, but I think all of the answers that we were getting were completely scripted. So they obviously knew all of the answers or the questions ahead of time. Um, the I don't know if Kamala's on painkillers or alcohol, or she has all of her hair like right in front over her ears, like that. Very pushed forward. There's no guarantee anywhere that she didn't have some kind of uh, you know earpiece or anything going on there helping to feed her answers. We also don't know how many. I mean, they cut to commercial over and over and over and over again, and then would had a lot of fluff fill items in between all of it. So, I mean, the words, the rumors that there was only going to be, 18 minutes of actual interview seemed fairly close to correct. But yeah, just a lot of fluff, a lot of. I mean, the questions were straightforward, but there were, and I think one of them with Waltz was followed up about the misrepresentation of some of his military career. Which, if you served in the military, awesome. I respect that completely, but there's no reason to lie or exaggerate about it. I mean, and he can say, well, he was just talking here and there, whatever, about something, and it kind of came out. No, it was a foreword in a book that was being published that he signed off on. So don't tell me it's just a haphazard conversation. So basically, that was a lie. Again, just I can't even. It gets so hard. Okay, so we're not going to play the video. We're just going to kind of walk through the questions. So what would she do in day one at the White House? So a broad claim about focusing on the middle class. We already know that the Biden-Harris administration hates the middle class. They're trying to destroy the middle class. The crazy energy policy and things like that are. I mean, you don't even. I mean, I've watched some Glenn Beck shows about how they're getting companies to tear down coal plants, right? So the coal plant is going to be used for the next 20 years. So the government is paying them the profit for that coal plant to be, so they're covering the profit that they would have made on that coal plant for the next 20 years, just giving it to them in cash. Then they have to destroy the coal plant, not just shut it down, but raise it so that all it is an empty parking lot. It has to be gone, right? No chance to build it back or no chance to start it back up. That's the policy that you're not seeing behind the scenes that's going on. And Kamala Harris herself said, no, she hasn't changed any policy. She hasn't changed any of her ideas. Okay, so she goes, on, I think sadly the last decade we've had the former president, of course, blaming everything on Trump, pushing an agenda and an environment that was diminishing the character of the nation. Well, actually, I think that's completely wrong. That's completely opposite of what Trump did. We were respected. We had no more wars because people didn't want to have a war because they knew, oh, we better not do that because America's going to come and kick our ass, right? We don't need to do that. She said something about, a $6,000 tax credit for newborns in the first year. So you can buy baby clothes and a crib. Well, the problem, right, is the tax credit comes when you do your taxes, not when you have the baby. Okay. These people in government have no idea how life is lived by regular people. They just have money. I mean, look at the Obamas. They've got like a couple of $8 million houses, like a $12 million house, and some other like $7 million house. They can just shut up and go to hell. So here we go. So to help them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes and a crib. Well, that's not going to help after the fact. You still have to put the money out. So if you don't have the money, what do? You put it on your credit card, which is interest super high because you have the interest rates so high. Insanity. She also mentioned housing affordability, give her plan first-time home buyers a $25,000 tax credit to help with the down payment. Okay, we're still giving money away. So here's how reality works. The more money the government gives away, the higher inflation is. So, and I am very sure that all of that housing affordability stuff is going to come with some DEI check marks. If you're not in the right sexual, race, whatever group, you're not going to qualify. I haven't read it, but I'm sure, I mean, you can almost be positive that that's in there. That's part of her life. That's part of her agenda. That's part of everything that she does every day. Okay, but what about people who feel groceries were less expensive and housing were more affordable under Trump? Because it was. The government had to fabricate a global emergency in order, things were going too well, and they had to fabricate a global emergency to try and tarnish Trump. That's exactly what it was. They brought inflation down to 3%. Well, that's not the true inflation, right? I mean, if you look at, that's a very nitpicked number. I mean, I've seen a lot of different reports about, different things out there. You'd have to go look them up. I mean, I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure Crowder has, some things about it. The actual inflation rate is still in like the 10 to 15% range, right? And the work they've done to cap cost insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Well, that was started by Donald Trump. Then things got derailed by COVID and things didn't get done. So I don't know how far it was, maybe 20%, maybe 5%, maybe 80% of that was already done. So all they had to do was dot the I's and cross the T's, and it would have been done, right? What they don't tell you is that this is going towards more generic insulin, and there are people who cannot use generic insulin. My friend in California, who actually just passed away in a motorcycle accident recently, he'd been a diabetic since he was like 14. And he needed true brand insulin. Because of all the insurance things and everything else, they were trying to move him to generic. So he had to go to Mexico to buy insulin in order to get the real stuff. So, and insulin has been around for years. There really should not be any reason it's super expensive at all. Not to mention that is there anything in there about changing your diet and the food? That's the RFK thing, RFK Jr. thing, right? The stuff that we were eating, stuff that we were putting in our bodies, right? Where's that health initiative? That needs that over. Oh, we're going to nitpick some seniors and give them $35 a month. You know how much money my father-in-law pays for COPD drugs? I think he just bought them again. It was $400 because they don't have a generic, and it's only, you only get the brand name, right? I'm sure that in other countries they probably pay $40, but here in the United States they gouge us. That's what needs to happen, right? You need to have a world common pricing law, so that whatever they pay in Europe for a drug is what we pay here. Whatever they pay in Mexico for a drug is what we pay here. That would force the pharmaceutical companies to lower prices or even prices out. Charge them a little more and charge us a lot less. Plus, we need to stop having pharmaceutical companies advertise during that presentation. Like half of the commercials that were there were drugs, right? So all those drug companies are pushing tons of money into our mainstream media. So do you think they're going to push back anywhere on any of those drugs for any reason? No, of course not. Okay. She maintains Bidenomics is a success. Okay. Everybody puts out, what did they say? Like $1,700 more a month. Your dollar is worth less. They've given money away to all their little niche friends in the bill. Uh, it's all lies. And here he says, interesting. I thought it was very interesting. She said, we created over 800,000 new jobs. Well, what did we just find out recently? That I think it was 80,000 of those were false, were not actual jobs. They didn't create those. So any numbers that they give are garbage. Plus, most of those are, probably return to work from COVID and all that. So, and reports are that all of those jobs were given to foreigners, not Americans. They are an America last group. Okay. So, does she still want to ban fracking? So this one, I thought it was interesting. She actually pushed back on her. Dana Bash actually pushed back on her. Says, made it clear at the debate stage that I would not ban fracking. But Dana Bash said, but in 2019, you guaranteed everybody that for day one, you're going to ban fracking. So she's a flip-flopper. You cannot really take her at anything at her word, because she keeps saying, that was 2020, we're in 2024, and I've not changed my position. And you did. What made her change her position 4 years ago? She says her values have not changed. We must guard against a clear crisis in terms of climate. So she's back into the climate thing, and it's not an existential threat. There's no huge threat from climate. No, not at all. I mean, it's reality. If you're a Bible believing person like me, the earth is still recovering from the flood of Noah's time. Okay. The cycles and everything, the earth has different weather and cycles that run in like 20 or 30 year cycles. The sun has cycles that it runs in 10-year cycles. So sometimes those will meet where the earth is warmer and the sun is warmer. Then sometimes they'll be completely the other way, where the earth is cold and the sun is colder, right? So almost nothing we do is going to, change any of that. Now, it would be good to not have, tar and ash and all of that stuff in our environment and be blown out all the time in, heavy manufacturing and things like that. Obviously, that's good, right? But destroy the economy over a globalist false agenda, because once you join a coalition like the Paris Climate Accord, once you join that, whatever they decide, you have to do. So if they say we need to kill everyone over 70 years old because they're a drain on the system, you're going to have to do it, right? That's what you're doing. She pushed back again. There's something that changed her mind, and she blabbled on that we can't have an economy without fracking. It's like, well, there's too many companies that the government is giving money to, right? That are then pushing their unions and everything back to vote for the Democrats. So they can't do that. So I like RFK Jr.'s thoughts, which is remove all subsidies. If some company wants to go out and frack and get stuff out of the ground, then they need to take care of all the roads and all of the trucks and the communities that they're kind of rumbling through when they're doing all this stuff. Okay, so then the lie: Biden administration waits so long to implement asylum restrictions and the border. So then there's this that Trump said, don't put this border bill. No. The reason the agents that they were going to hire, the 1,500 more agents, were not strictly agents. They were processing people so they could process more people into the country faster. And that's why it was rejected. Not that it was such a great border bill. There was only a small part of it that was for the border. A lot of it was for, other kinds of other of the Democrat buddies to get paid off for different things. So that again is a lie. It just keeps going over. Does Harris think that border crossings should be decriminalized? Well, if you go back to the border bill, it's not a decriminalization. If you can filter people in faster and get them their little return to court paper, right? That means they're kind of pseudo here, you know, provisionally, right? So any question that she gives about this decriminalization is going to be filtered by that. So, and she gave kind of a half-ass answer. She's the only person in the race who actually served in a border state as attorney general, and that did very poorly in California. Many people were killed by illegals in California when she was there. Just so many problems with people coming over the border there, and the homeless problem, the prosecuting people, keeping people in jail longer for free labor, all that kind of stuff. I mean, just not a good, thing. I guess recently McDonald's actually reported, no, Kamala Harris never worked for McDonald's. Oh, wait, a lie. Strange. Okay. Would she put a Republican in her administration? Yes, she would, she said. So it's going to be a rhino, somebody Republican in name only, who's just going along with everything else, who's on the border, whatever. So on Trump's insulting claim that she turned black, there are page after page after report after report after report. First Indian, what was she? She was the attorney general in California. First newspaper after newspaper, website after website. First Indian attorney general in California. First Indian general. First Indian, everywhere. And she never corrected them, said, no, I'm black. I'm not Indian. Right? I also saw a report that her father does not consider himself to be black. So what does that make her? Makes her a chameleon. So we should do anything under different than Biden on Israel. Mean the guy who's sitting in a lawn chair at a beach doing nothing while someone who is running our country. So she talks about the people that are massacred. That's a very easy point to hit and how it all started. She thinks that there should be a two-state solution. Israel tried that already. All of the Palestinian people, their government, they elected Hamas as their government. So obviously, if they do that again, it's going to be the same thing. They're going to elect Hamas again. It's not going to change. So I think the best thing probably in the end would be to set up an area for Palestinians to live that is pseudo-governed by an outside force, by somebody outside. Maybe Israel or some, joint group over in the Middle East that oversees that. Because it's like a small child, right? They keep running over and putting their finger in the light socket. And after so many times, you got to go and, put the little covers on the light socket, on the plug. Okay. Walz asked multiple times when he misspoke. So he did say, he was talking, he was rambling. He's just like, oh my gosh, it's all about, so many guns kill children in schools. It's a fairly easy thing to fix, but gun control is not it. So he never really answered the question that he misspoke, but I mean, they didn't say anything. Dana Bash did not push back on the fact that there was a whole, preface or whatever, intro into a book that someone had wrote and then had those words in it and some of the things in it that, about, he was deployed, military, combat areas and all this stuff, I think, in it. And he signed off on that and did not correct it. So he's lying. He's lying. He's trying to save his face. So, and then they were talking about the IUI or IVF. So, and he turned that into a lot of families have problems. And yes, it is. It can be. I can solve the whole thing right now. Okay. IVF. Don't put the parts together until you're ready to do the deed. Store them separately, That way, nothing is inseminated. Everything is separate. No life has begun. And when you get ready to go, you put them together and boom, and try it. That's the problem I have. My problem with IVF, right, is that often the process is get a bundle of like 8 fertilized eggs and push them in, and then if one of them takes hold, great. The other ones fall out, easy peasy. 4 of them take hold, you got to go in and kill 3. So that's, I mean, if you can have an IVF where you only do 1 at a time, or maybe 2 if you're willing to carry twins, that's, I think that would be fine. But otherwise, you're almost forced to destroy, a lot of babies that way. So, but nobody talks about that. Nobody even mentions that, kind of fact of IVF. And he did misspeak about it. So, and then he just turned that into, oh, everybody has problems. Okay, fine. Does Harris regret insisting that Biden is fit to serve? And she completely followed the pattern that he's cogent. He's the cogent he's ever been, right? He's not. He's never been that way in probably the past 6 to 8 years. He's getting to the end of my father last year just died from Parkinson's dementia, and that's what he has. And he's probably, I'm saying 6 months. I don't know if he's going to make it. He's starting to deteriorate quite a lot, and he's probably got 6 to 8 months, and then he's going to die. That's the pattern that you see in Parkinson's dementia. So, okay. So then they talked about, some things about, then they went on to this crazy non-policy, non-anything, blah, blah, blah. What about when you found out? And they said, oh, it was Joe calling her and everything else. No, it wasn't. It was Nancy Pelosi saying, we're kicking the old guy out because his brain is gone. So you're going to have to be the one, right? That's what it was. Biden was nowhere in as part of that. The letter was written for him, anything else. Then they go into, this Walz and his son, and then, the photo reaction to that whole niece photo thing. Which was a good photo. I can admit that. I'm a photographer. I think it was a good photo. I think the photo of Trump raising his fist with blood on his face and the flag in the back is a better, more poignant photo. But yeah. So obviously the questions were all provided ahead of time. The answers were very rehearsed and kind of preset. I don't know if behind Dana somewhere there was a teleprompter or she had an earpiece or whatever. Those maybe possibilities. I don't know. They had lights there, so I could see light. I was looking at Kamala's eyes, which kept kind of drooping. I don't know, from alcohol or pain meds or whatever it might be. Or she's just that way. She's just a droopy-eyed, slurry word kind of person. But those lights seemed higher than a teleprompter, so I don't know if that, it could have been something in her ear, or she could have just been, rehearsed very well. Since she had all of the questions, she could have taken time to gather all of her answers. Will this sway people back and forth? I mean, Dana Bash did push back on some questions, didn't interrupt like she does with JD Vance, but did push back, did re-ask questions when those weren't answered correctly, but then they still didn't answer. She let him go. It was almost as if the questions were all kind of filmed separately, and then they had filmed them. It's like they had one camera, so they went and filmed all the questions, and then they came back and filmed all the answers. But I know there were multiple cameras, but it was a little odd, how it was the filming and stuff like that. But yeah, very edited, very cut. I don't know how many times they did the questions. We're not being told all of that. So I really prefer, like, I mean, Trump had a rally tonight in Wisconsin. Actually, it was a town hall. He thought he was going to a rally and he was creating a speech and going to give a speech. But then he got there. He said, "No, this is a town hall," and he's like, "Okay, that's fine." So he's doing different things and answering different questions, but it's off the cuff. And some of the questions were very, very canned. They didn't seem like they were. That's my criticism there. It's like, if you're gonna have a town hall, make sure it's real people that come up. I mean, they're asking the very, what are you doing about the border? What are you doing about the economy? Things like that, and which are all very big, Trump talking points. The one thing he did say for IVF was to provide assistance, or to make sure that insurance covers the procedure. I know people who've tried to go get it done, and it was like, $15,000 a try, and that's gonna keep people out of doing it more than anything else, right? So yeah, so very surprised on one hand that Dana Bash came out and opened up. I mean, many people, I think, had tweeted at her. I did myself, saying, if you don't ask question A, question B, question C, then you're not a journalist. And she did. She asked questions. She asked some hard questions. The answers were very wishy-washy, but still, we've got it out there. But nothing. There wasn't really no real hard, fast policy. I mean, the child tax credit, went around well beyond having any more children, so that doesn't really affect me. So that's only going to affect younger people. I mean, there are little older people that have children, as crazy as they are, but so not much else. I mean, a little, we need border stuff. I'm like, okay, well, are you gonna, she didn't mention anything about building a border wall. She actually said her policy hasn't changed. So that means wide open border, let people in as fast as we can, get them signed up, get them driver's license, social security numbers, register them to vote. That's the path. That's what they want to do, right? That's the whole thing. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for hanging out and watching through this. If you got all the way to the end, like, share, and subscribe to the videos. And yeah, we will catch you later. And there's one more thing. Who is it's Jeremy from the Quartering. It's what is it? Tailgates for Trump. He has this thing that he's trying to get a whole bunch of people signed up for, this Tailgates for Trump thing, where they send out different party ideas, party recipes, tailgating things, all kinds of stuff to try and get people together to go out and do Trump things. So go there, send an email. He says there's not going to be any spam or any junk or anything else, which I kind of believe. He's a pretty good guy. He was getting a little excited after the interview thing, that he was getting a little frustrated that people weren't signing up. I tried 4 times and never got the confirmation email, so I'll have to try and get a hold of him and get that done. But that's one thing I guess we can all do. Try and do that. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a good one.